What is going on, everyone? Welcome to today's live stream. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. As you can go ahead and see in the video on the title, 85, or I think it says massive pump incoming for Bitcoin, and a quick update on the overall base market, so the whole entire meme coin sector. So let me go ahead and pull out my mobile device as usual to go ahead and see we are officially live. It looks like we are. Let me go ahead and start sharing this with the community. A little bit unprepared. I could have sworn I thought I was preparing for it. It seems like I'm unprepared like usual. So I hope all of you are having a wonderful day today. It looks like Natalie went ahead and uploaded a video. Great to see Natalie. Haven't seen her in a while. Got to catch up on her and see how she's doing. But it looks like she came out with a new video. So it's really cool. Got to go ahead and check that out. But how's it going, Happy? Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Let's go ahead and share this with the community. And yeah, let's get it going. I gotta reply to these messages, man. I keep on telling myself I'm gonna reply to them. I freaking haven't, dude. I'm such a freaking lag. I gotta get that going. I always tell myself I'm gonna reply to all the messages, and then I check my my Discord and my Twitter, and I'm like, dude, like, look at this. I haven't replied to anything, bro. I apologize. So we have that going. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get today's live stream going. Let's go ahead and start off with the fear and greed chart. See how the market's doing overall. So currently right now we are at levels of 64 of greed, yesterday at 68, and last week 43 of fears. It's quite crazy how fast the market changes up on you so quick, right? So it's quite interesting. Yeah, today was one of those days for me where I'm just like, dude, I'm just not in a mood of streaming, to be honest. Woke up today and got a message from my manager. He's like, yeah, bro, so we're letting you go. And I was like, snap. Kind of cool with it, but I think it does definitely get to you. And it's just like one of those moments right now, and I'm just sharing this with everybody just due to the fact that I mean, we're all going through our own personal things in life, right? We're all going through our situations, and especially with these markets, it doesn't do it any better when you're dealing with your personal life and then these markets slap you across the face. But the reason why I was sharing that is because we got to go ahead and keep this in mind, man. We're all going through our similar journeys or different journeys through our own situations in life. But I think the most important thing we have to go ahead and keep in mind that these situations are always going to come in, right? Similar to what we're seeing in the crypto market right now. We're seeing a lot of fake outs. I mean, I think we're going to see a breakout very soon. We talked about this POC, this point of control right here, using the fixed range indicator at around the $64,000 range on Bitcoin, and we do see that we actually tested and broke above it at 65,500, right? So I do believe we are going to be breaking out of that zone very, very soon. The really interesting thing about it is that I told a lot of you yesterday, I said, don't be surprised if we do see a little bit of red in the markets. We could be expecting that leading from Monday to Tuesday, and possibly Thursday and Friday will be the reversal. And for some of you, it might be Wednesday, right? So we're going to go ahead and see how Wednesday does for us. But overall, one thing we also want to keep in mind before I pivot back into this Bitcoin chart, I want to go ahead and show you the DXY right here. So we talked about how the DXY was entering this zone of a reversal, right? Now we're going to go ahead and see with the DXY if we're going to go ahead and get rejected at these levels. Are we going to go ahead and break through this resistance? If we do break through it, it's not going to look too good for us, guys. Honestly, worst comes to worst, we could go ahead and see a case scenario where we see the DXY either dump from here. This is where I'm expecting the DXY to dump from. I'm expecting the DXY come from here and then dump all the way over here. And that's what I'm expecting the DXY to do. Because if you actually go ahead and take a look at this, we're also, from what I just realized right now, it kind of almost looks like a head and shoulders pattern, right? So I guess you could kind of do it like this. I think that's probably like the ugliest head and shoulders pattern, and it could also be like a double top. But regardless of the fact, we're going to go ahead and see if the DXY is going to be able to break through this, or if this is going to act like an area of resistance. If it does act as an area of resistance and we do get rejected tomorrow, if it's not by tomorrow, Wednesday, hopefully by Thursday, we should be seeing some sort of rejection. As I mentioned, worst comes to worst is that we see a fake out where the DXY will go ahead and come back to these ranges right here and instantly just go ahead and get rejected. But it could be a possibility that we could go ahead and retest this zone one more time, or we could just go ahead and collapse, as I mentioned, right? So we're gonna go ahead and see which one of these two scenarios it actually acts on. It could be this one too. I mean, regardless of the fact, I think the DXY is bearish in my opinion right now at the moment being. So even with that right there alone, that would kind of complete that that head and shoulders pattern. But I mean, that's kind of an ugly head and shoulders, but it's probably because we're on a daily time frame, right? So the head and shoulders pattern, or I mean DXY, in my opinion, will be getting a sign of a reversal in my opinion. But as I mentioned, worst comes to worst case scenario, this is the top for Bitcoin, and this is a fake out, and then Bitcoin's going to get rejected at this zone right here. I mean, worst case scenario happens is that Bitcoin comes and retests this area of the 604 one more time, and then gets left out with a fake out, and then we just come stumbling all the way down to within the ranges of around $51,000, which honestly, guys, it won't be too bad, because that would mean that would be like the time for alts and a lot of these meme tokens to have the run up next. But it could be a possibility where we will go ahead and have a massive dump in the market, right? So we definitely do not want to go ahead and see this. I'm definitely cheering on for Bitcoin to break through these areas of resistance, because the sooner Bitcoin breaks through these zones, the sooner we're going to be able to have that celebration of Bitcoin finally breaking out after this long wait of consolidating, man. I mean, even if we go into the longer time frames on the weekly, you can just see how long we've waited. We waited over, if you count it from this day, since we've been consolidating within this range, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, which I don't know what is equivalent to months. I think that might be almost 2 months and a half. Let's go ahead and check. 2 months and a half. Surprisingly, I got that right. So yeah, it's about almost 2 months and a half that Bitcoin has been consolidating within this range. And this is typically what we kind of see, right? We kind of see this typical behavior, because something that we also had similar right here was back in November. We saw Bitcoin consolidate for a while too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, if you kind of see, we consolidated for 9 days before having a breakout to the upside, and we're finally getting close to that day, right? So is this going to be the week, the big week for Bitcoin to break out of this consolidation? Or are we finally going to go ahead and try to make new all-time highs? So that is something I'm definitely excited for. I definitely want to see some sort of breakout or rejection to a breakdown, because we've been consolidating here for too long, and the longer we consolidate, the longer people get bored of these markets, and the more impatient people become, then we just start doing some dumb mistakes with our trades, right? So we definitely do want to get some more action into this market, but I do believe that patiently with time, we will go ahead and see Bitcoin break out of that zone. As I mentioned, I'm more bullish than bearish at this angle where we're at right now in the market, but it could be a possibility where we will go ahead and have a fake out where, we're all thinking it's probably going to push up to 85,000, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's more people that are more bearish than ever. Like, I've been hearing more bearish news than like bullish news. Like, I'm hearing people call for some crazy numbers of Bitcoin. This is the top. This is over. The bull run's done with. We're collapsing, 40, 50%. So I'm hearing more negativity than positivity. And for that reason, I'm going more towards the positive side of Bitcoin. I will be the one cheering in the opposite side once we start reaching these levels at around $85,000 to $90,000. This is the ranges where I'm going to be a little more careful, and I'm going to be telling every one of you, be very, very careful. This could be a possibility where the top of Bitcoin is in, right? Which would be very bullish for meme tokens and altcoins. But we have to keep in mind this point of control is a strong area of resistance at around 64,000. And we did kind of talk about, if I can remember correctly, we talked about it yesterday. I can't even remember, we live streamed yesterday. But there is strong areas of liquidations at around this $70,000 range, guys. So this is a strong area of resistance. So around this zone right here at the 70,000, 70,500, 70,100, I think it was, we have over 2 billion of shorts getting liquidated. So this still goes back to my narrative of why I believe strongly that Bitcoin will go ahead and have a short squeeze, pushing Bitcoin to $85,000 sooner and quicker than most believe, right? As I mentioned, I don't see the DXY doing much work from here. I mean, worst comes to worst, as I mentioned, and I know I'm repeating myself, but worst comes to worst for DXY, guys, is we see some sort of movement like this where we go ahead and slightly touch these areas of resistance and then we end up getting rejected. So regardless of the fact, the DXY doesn't have much room to go. Keep that in mind. The DXY doesn't have that much room to go. We could go ahead and see this rejection happen right here in the RSI, or more than likely going to have this rejection right here once we start reaching the 70 zone. As you see, every time the DXY reaches these zones of like overly interested or overly bought or overly sold, or overly undervalued, this is the time where we see a reversal in the market for the DXY, right? So there's really not much room for the DXY to do. As I mentioned, worst comes to worst is the DXY reaches these areas of resistance one more time and it gets rejected, and that's it. So we could see a continuation of a shakeup in the market, or maybe Bitcoin decides to do its own thing and not react to the DXY. There has been cases when Bitcoin does that, right? So overall, the stock market kind of finished on a neutral. We do see on the US 100, which is a NASDAQ, an indicator that we look at very, very closely for how Bitcoin's going to react. It did look like it did get rejected. And this is still literally following from what we talked about since Monday on April 29th. So I think this is since last week. And we literally predicted this, that we were going to go ahead and see some sort of downfall. A lot of people were thinking that this is going to be over for the US 100. And I came in here confidently saying, I really doubt that's a possibility. But if it does happen, it will look extremely bearish for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies overall. And it looked like we actually found that nice area of support. So same thing right now with what we're seeing with the US 100. I think this is just some sort of, in my opinion, this is still bullish. What we could go ahead and see moving forward with the US 100, if we go back to the worst comes to worst, we could go ahead and see some sort of a I don't want to say a consolidation, but more of a rejection within the zone where we probably might come back slightly to retest the zone. So if we don't see a breakout, I would say we should have a breakout no later than by Thursday or Friday of this week. I would see this week, Friday. We're definitely going to be having it coming in next week, Monday, right? So, but I do think it is possible. I mean, keep in mind, this is on a daily. So let's say, we get rejected, which is what, today, Tuesday. Let's say tomorrow we do go ahead and see the US 100 slightly take a dip, and then we have Thursday, another day of a down day. So we'll have 2 days and a half of a down day, and then we have a massive reversal coming in Friday, and that would be actually really, really good. So if we do end the week on a Friday very green for the stock market, there's a high probability that we will go ahead and have a strong following week, right? Which means that, starting next week on May, we will have a very, very bullish week. So that would be the month. So that'll actually be the 13th. So we'll see how the market reacts. As I mentioned, that is my probability. If we do hear any sort of missile attacks on Friday and we do end up on a red, it's not going to be too good for the market, I'm going to be honest with you. And that means that we're probably not going to see a reversal into the market leading into around May 20th, towards the end of May, right? So we're going to go ahead and see where things moving forward. But I don't expect much action. I'm expecting more sideways action in the market before we really see these massive pumpamentals coming in. But overall right now on the crypto bubbles, we see on the hourly, we see a little bit of more neutral. On the daily, we are still on the red. So not much has changed from yesterday, honestly, besides the fact that, in my opinion, Bitcoin just looks more bullish than anything. But the DXY is definitely concerning, and I definitely want to see how the DXY is going to react in these next couple days, right? I really want to see if the DXY is going to get rejected here. If the DXY does get rejected here, guys, this is going to be a confirmation that we're chilling like chinchillas, all right? If we do see red tomorrow, we're good. I think we're still on track to go ahead and have a pretty bullish week leading into next week. So we're going to see where things go moving forward. Overall, for the base tokens, I'm a little pissed off because I sold my base Bowden literally yesterday. I ended up taking a loss, dude, and I had a feeling I should have held on to it, and I didn't. I was just like, dude, I kind of need this money right now, so let me go ahead and take it. I could go ahead and use it for something better. So I ended up doing it. I had a feeling something like this was going to happen with base Bowden, bro. But I also had a feeling with other projects that they were going to reverse, and they ended up dumping. So one of them being with CJ. I was like, dude, I should have just taken in profits when I knew I should have, but I didn't, right? So I'm going to be very, very, very pissed by a lot if I see base Bowden reverse to where I figured it was going to go to, and kind of pisses me off in the situation that I'm in that I had to do that. But yeah, that freaking sucks, bro. But one thing, the reason why I'm sharing this is because this might be an opportunity you want to go ahead and keep your eyes on. Base Bowden, this is definitely some good, clear signs of some volume picking up. I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of buying pressure. So I'm probably more than likely going to regret that sell, right? And especially by tomorrow, this thing could probably continue to pump. I mean, I sold at 130,000 market cap. And ever since that, it has almost doubled. So kind of regret it, but it is what it is, right? So I didn't want to sell my other bags, right? I didn't want to go ahead and sell my Benny bag or my Andy bag. I was like, nah, dude, I'm not going to go ahead and freaking do that. So I decided to just go ahead and take an L on that. And I said, you know what? I'll just take the L on this. And overall, you do not want to be selling your bags, bro. But I was just in a situation this month that I needed to. So yeah, that's kind of the only reason why, and it wasn't even much either, which is pretty pisses me off a lot. But I just wasn't willing to take profits on my Andy or Benny bag, right? If I would have taken profits on this, I would have been chilling. But I know my conviction for Andy and Benny are like super long term, and I do think we're gonna see some sort of breakout in the next week to week and a half. So I know it's going to make it up for the base Bowden. So that's why I didn't want to take profits on Benny or Andy. But I'm holding confidently on these two trades. And I hope in the next coming weeks, we do go ahead and see some sort of market reversal on these, right? So we're going to see where things go moving forward. But right now, Benny's not really doing much. We are still at this area of support. If we go ahead and take a look at Andy, same thing right now. It's consolidating within this range at around 13 million. It looks like it wants to go ahead and consolidate here for a while. One thing that I found very interesting on Andy on base, for any of those that are invested or are looking to invest on Andy on base, right now what we're seeing is a very similar structure to what we saw over here back on the 22nd of April, right? How's it going? Chicago cannot sell due to sad performance. Benny, Andy on base. Brett, base token slugged in my stomach. Yeah, bro, I'm the same, bro. I'm really the same. And with Bowden, as I mentioned, I just kind of wanted to have some cash on the side, just due to the fact that I freaking had literally my whole check went to freaking to bills this month. So I was like, dude, it was either take profits from Andy or Benny or take a loss. And I'm like, dude, you know what? I'd rather take a loss. But to begin with, you should have probably never been on that position, right? But I kind of like, I was in one of those times where I don't want to say overly invested. I could have taken profits on Andy, on Benny, but I'd rather just squeeze it out, man. Like, I'd rather just squeeze it out like this month and just deal with it than like freaking, take profits on Andy, on Benny. And it's not the right mindset, right? Not everybody has the same capability of doing that, but I'm kind of stretching myself to levels where I shouldn't have to be doing this, but I'm doing it because I understand where Andy and Benny are going to go. And I know 100% a lot of these base tokens are going to be super, super rewarding, guys, in the next I would just say week to a week and a half, we should be seeing a little bit more bullishness in the market. So I definitely feel your pain, especially if you're in a situation with me where you kind of like me, where you're like, damn, dude, like I want to go ahead and make some money because I got to go ahead and pay some stuff, or I want to do some stuff with that money. Yeah, but this is the reason why overall you just have to have a longer term view when it comes to a lot of these projects. But dude, I just kind of stretched myself this month too with bills, so that really screwed me. So that's not good. Yeah, dude. So I definitely do need to go ahead and make a flip quick. Pola and Moonbase. Yeah, dude, Moonbase is super bullish. We're going to go ahead and talk about Pola right now and Moonbase, but I do believe those are very important projects. But talking about Andy, before I forget, the thing with Andy right here, we're seeing the same consolidation, kind of like what we saw back over here in the 23rd of April, and we saw it consolidate here within this range of about 5 days before having a breakout to the upside. The most important thing to me is that we're at this area of resistance, this red line right here. It's called the point of control, which is the POC. This is usually indicating a strong area of interest, volume, selling pressure, or buying pressure, right? Just depends on the way you look at it. Well, we could definitely go ahead and say there's a lot of activity right here on this red line, which is a 0.014 zone, right? So that is a good sign. Now, the worst case scenario for Andy, guys, and you know how transparent I'm going to be when it comes to a lot of this, as much as you might not want to hear it, I really don't care. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, just because I want to go ahead and keep all of you alerted and aware. But I've called most of these tops and bottoms for Andy, and it's not one-to-one, but I've been warning a lot of you when there could be a possibility we see a correction or a crash, right? So if Andy does not break through this POC, guys, it's not going to be looking too well. I'm going to be honest with you, and we could be coming back down to the zone right here, and that would be taking us, if I'm not mistaken, around the 9 million market cap, which, you know, this is another additional 50% decrease. I'm very confident, and I don't want to say that I'm very confident it won't happen. I'm pretty confident it won't happen, but being, you know, in the market that we're in, anything could happen, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if we were to go ahead and see Andy dump from here again, another additional 50%. I know it sounds quite scary, but this is just something we have to have in mind. So if we were to see this kind of break down to the downside, you don't panic, all right? So this is the only reason why I'm telling you, because I don't think it's going to happen. I'm pretty confident it won't, but as I mentioned, there's no way I could 100% predict these markets. So just keep in mind, if we do get rejected at the zone right now for Andy, it's not going to look too good. And we're honestly at some very critical areas. So, you know, Andy, if Andy breaks out of here, guys, we're going to be approaching, I'm not even joking you, we're going to be approaching over easily over 60 to 80 million market cap next time after we break out of this POC, right? So fingers crossed that we could go ahead and break out of the zone, because that would definitely mean some massive good news and massive new all-time highs being approached. One thing we also have to keep in mind, holder count has increased by a lot. Volume is slightly not as good though, so hopefully we can see a little bit more buying pressure coming in to see this breakout, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a consolidation with Andy here, dancing for a few more days before it makes a decision of where it wants to freaking go, right? So hope all is well on there. But let's go ahead and talk about Pola and Moonbase, right? Because Chicago talked about Pola, and I remember I was looking at it, and I told all of you I was going to wait for a while before I make my decision. And Pola did very well, right? It looks like Pola right now is at an area where it's finally having that, what is it called? Frick, dude, I had the word in my freaking head. Correction is what I meant. So if all of you remember, I made this video a few days ago back over here on May 3rd, and we talked about how there's a possibility we were going to be seeing some sort of top on Pola, and it did get rejected. And you're like, damn, John, how have you been able to call most tops and bottoms? Not only on meme tokens, you know, on Bitcoin, because guys, it's very predictable, right? Keep in mind, I've also been looking at the market for a long time. I spent a lot of freaking time in the markets. I spent a lot of time in these charts. So you get to a point where it literally becomes second nature, where you can almost predict most tops and bottoms. You're not going to nail them 100%, but I literally drew this back over here, back on May 3rd. And I just checked this chart just today. And you can see I didn't call the exact top, but I was near it. I wasn't that far away from calling the top, right? So I'm like very close to predicting where the top was. I predicted the top was going to be for Pola. Let me go ahead and draw it out for you just so you can see. I predicted the top was going to be right here. And unfortunately, I missed it slightly, but at the end of the day, that was near it. So I don't want to say I call exact tops or bottoms, but this is very predictable just due to the fact that this is very, very natural for these tokens to do. So this is the reason why when we see tokens like this pump, for example, Crody, don't chase the pump, guys, because eventually it will be coming down. And when it corrects, it will correct at least a 40 to a 50% correction. And we measure this top to this bottom, we see that Pola has corrected over a 66% of a correction depending on where you bought, right? So there's always a minimum of a 40 to an 80% correction on a lot of these meme tokens when they do have an explosive leg to the upside, right? Always remember, eventually it will correct. It might not correct in 1 day, in 2 days, in 3 days, in 4 days, in 5 days, but it will correct. And just keep in mind, the longer it takes to correct, the longer is going to go ahead and have the bigger the dump is going to be, right? That's what I meant to say. Because one of the perfect examples that, you know, pumped forever and has been taking forever to correct has been Brett. I mean, look at Brett. If we go ahead and see how much Brett has actually corrected from this top to this bottom, it's not that crazy. It's about 67%. But based on how many days we've been correcting for quite a while, guys. I mean, Brett literally has been correcting for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Literally has been correcting for 5 weeks. And even also with Brett, I was also able to call this point of rejection where I was actually shorting Brett right here. Unfortunately, I got stopped out of my position with a fake out. So they stopped me out of liquidity grab right here, and then the token dumped, which I knew was going to happen, right? So Brett right now, it is kind of struggling to go ahead and break out of this downtrend. So we're going to see if Brett's finally going to be coming to an end when it comes to that downtrend. But if not, Brett, it's on its own, still has an additional 60 to a 50% correction, right? So keep that in mind. And this is the reason why I'm like the biggest bear when I see pumps like this where it barely corrects, because I know that once it does reach the top, it's going to go ahead and bleed down slowly but surely. And we're just going to be counting, waiting literally with the calendar glued to our eyes, waiting for the day to be over for the market to finally pump, right? One thing I have noticed, and I do want to go ahead and mention this, one thing I have noticed with base tokens is that they take forever to pump and they take forever to correct. It's nothing like you will see in Solana. Solana typically has these patterns break out literally in seconds, if not seconds, in like hours. Solana moves a lot quicker. ETH on base, I've been noticing, is a lot slower. In order to have those breakouts, you have to be very, very freaking patient, man. Like keep in mind, like even for Polo on its own, this thing pumped for literally over a little bit over 5 to 6 days, 3, 4, 5 days. And, you know, 5 days in crypto, man, it just feels like forever. 5 days in crypto feels like 2 weeks. And 2 weeks in crypto feels like a month, bro. It's horrible, right? And I just feel like these last couple days, crypto overall has just been on this downtrend where we're just seeing it bleed. And I'm at this point right now where I just want to wake up one of these days in the next coming days and see some green in the market, bro. Like come on, bro. Literally everything is freaking dumping on base, bro. And the worst thing is that these tokens correct very, very, very quickly too, and very, very heavily to the downside, meaning we see corrections of 50 to 80% literally back to back with no problem, right? So I do think this correction will also be coming will be coming in over for base very soon. We're going to see where Pola reacts right here. With Pola, I know with all the talking that I did, if it doesn't get if it doesn't bounce out of this area right here where we're at, this is going to be roughly around the 1 million market cap. If it doesn't go ahead and bounce from here, and we do go ahead and fall down this area of support, it's going to be looking very bearish. I'm going to be honest with you, and that means Pola might be down with, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think that'd be the case. Worst comes to worst, we might see a fake out where it'll fake people out and don't have a massive reversal to the upside, right? So I definitely do want to keep my eyes on Pola here in the next coming days. Let's go ahead and look at Moon Base. I'm freaking bullish on that, man. I can't wait until I can go ahead and throw in some money on Moon Base. But Moon Base right here, we are now finally at some correction. So for all those that have been wanting to go ahead and jump into this, this could be a time. Let's go ahead and take a look at the smaller time frames. The 4-hourly time frame right now, we are at this range of consolidation, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I've seen this multiple times, and it's a 50-50, right? Just like most plays are a 50-50. Right now, typically, as we're seeing, we do see this rejection on the 4-hourly where we did pump, we did consolidate, and then we did dump, right? So there's two scenarios right here that we could go ahead and confirm of a breakout or a breakdown, right? So we're going to go ahead and talk about scenario number one. Scenario number one is that we do go ahead and break right here and we get rejected and we come all the way down. Scenario number one, right? Scenario number two is we get rejected right here and we dump. Scenario number three, which is a bullish scenario, is we go ahead and come right here, we break, we come back down over here, consolidate, and then we see a breakout to the passing the all-time highs, which is roughly around 2 million market cap, and we will be approaching over 5 to 10 million market cap next. One thing that's very interesting though, the holder count hasn't grown by that much. We're at 635 holders, which I guess could be a good opportunity for a lot of us to jump in. So it's still some early alpha. Keep in mind the circulating supply is very, very low, 419 million. And apparently this is a rebase token, right? So the more you hold on to freaking Moon Base, with the volume, you get about 4% in rewards through wrap ETH on base, right? So I like these kind of tokens, but in order for these tokens to perform well, we need to go ahead and see more volume, right? So that $59,000 volume is not too exciting, but then again, they only have about 635 holders, and most of those holders will not probably be trading them that much due to the fact that you get money off of just holding onto the token, literally from the trading fees, right? From the buy and sell is how you make the money, right? So just imagine $59,000 with that 4% split, and we'll divide it by that, and then the 4% split goes into everybody, right? So that's how you make money on these base token, or not these base tokens, these reflection tokens is what they're called. So we're going to see how this acts. Right now, we're going to go ahead and keep our eyes in on base. On Moon Base, I really want to see how this thing acts. But as I mentioned, this lower cap is very, very freaking attractive. So I do definitely want to see in the next coming days what it's going to do. Is it going to go ahead and break out, or is it going to come breaking down to the downside and having an additional massive correction, right? So we're going to go ahead and see where things go for Moon Base right here. But well, this is very typical. We always see this where they launch, they pump, and then they dump with a correction, and then we see a massive breakout to the upside, right? Another moon. So we'll see where that goes. Right here, we see Brett 2.0 pumping casually back at 29%. Back at the zone we were talking about, it looks like it did have this fake out right here on Brett 2.0. And then for Brett 2.0, if you are looking to go ahead and enter a trade, I would just be careful. Just wait for a confirmation, because we are still at some very, very risky zones on the daily. We could still go ahead and get rejected right here and come back down. And then as well, the bullish case scenario would be for an entry is if we were to see this breakout through here. If you see this breakout through here, try considering entering a trade around within the zone right here, which would be roughly at around 2 million market cap. So it's hovering around the 2 million market cap for this. But what I've noticed is typically when we're seeing a lot of these tokens that don't have much action in the market as far as community wise, we typically then are followed with massive pumps on the tokens with a good community, right? So we'll see where things go moving forward. As I mentioned, today is Tuesday for me, so I do expect some sort of reversal if it doesn't happen by tomorrow. We should be seeing it by Thursday or Friday. So recap on that. If tomorrow, the DXY does pump, there's a high probability we will go ahead and see a continuation of a correction in the market, unfortunately, guys. I know that's not something you might want to hear, but we are at some both critical areas, right? Critical areas meaning we could see a reversal here, or we could go ahead and see the crypto market pump. I wish I had a more accurate information or accurate data to tell you one-to-one exactly what's going to happen. But we don't know. We'll find out by tomorrow, Wednesday, how the U.S. stock market opens. And if the DXY gets rejected right here, expect crypto to rally. We're going to have a very, very freaking amazing week. And in worst case scenario is we see the DXY break out of here, and then we probably might correct at around right here. And then probably have some weakness coming down. As I mentioned, the DXY doesn't have much room to go up, guys. So the DXY needs to also be correcting very, very soon. So I don't expect much from the DXY at these levels. Worst comes to worst, we retest these areas of resistance, get rejected, and that's it, guys. There's not much the DXY could do. Dude, the DXY is kind of screwed. Like, it has to go ahead and correct eventually. It has more room to the upside right now, but it doesn't have much room to go up. This is the furthest the DXY could go up. So worst case scenario, we see a whole entire bearish week leading until the next week. Mid next week is where we'll probably see the market run up again. So I don't think that's going to be the case, though. Steve, how's it going? Hi, John. What does Moonbase contract end in last 4, please? I hope you're having a good one today, Steve. Moonbase ends in, let's go ahead and check. Oh, snap, what happened? Ends in 8304. 8304. Ticker symbol M and then base. It has about 635 holders and 59,000 of volume. I could try to post a contract. Let me see if I can. Damn, dude, my freaking computer fan's loud. That sound you guys hear is my freaking computer, dude. My computer's freaking loud. Like, I gotta get me a new freaking laptop, dude. I have a Razer, and these things are so freaking loud. It's a gaming laptop. Freaking loud, bro. Super freaking loud. It sounds like I'm living with a helicopter, dude. I didn't realize that's how loud it is on my stream. Apologize for that. This is the contract for Moonbase right here. So yeah, any other questions, guys? I mean, market's looking okay. I'm screaming more for the bullish side of things, but there's nothing for us to worry about. As I mentioned, if you do see a correction, don't panic. The correction will be over soon. There's not much room for this correction to be left, unless a crazy black swan event like the Scandemic 19 happens again. Then I can't predict that. But so far, there's not much going on. It's just giving us a sign that the market's going to continue to correct for the next coming days, if so. But I don't expect much happening. Like I said, worst comes to worst. This week ends on red or neutral, and then we're followed by next week half red and then green, and then towards the end of May we have this massive reversal coming into June, right? So but more than likely I'm expecting, of course, Steve, I'm expecting this market to reverse no later than my next week. I'm expecting May 13th. We should have a pretty strong week if the week ends great. If not, I expect May 20th to the 27th, those 2 weeks, May 20th through the 31st, we should be having some sort of market reversal where the market is now finally rallying up. So there's not much left of this correction, guys. I see no more than like 3 to 5 days of this correction. That the only way we get that correction is if we see some sideways action, but I don't see no more than that. 3 to 5 days is the max that I see of this correction being left, and then we're going to be followed by some massive pumps, and if not by within that 3 to 5 days, maybe even sooner, right? But I don't want to give you high hopes. Just keep that in mind. 3 to 5 more days of red could be a possibility, and then after that, we're going to be freaking green in my opinion. And then June's going to be looking freaking amazing. And then July is going to be looking freaking amazing. And then probably by July, August, that's where the market's going to be slowly. June, July, August, yeah, July. That's usually where the market starts to kind of slow down a bit, and then has that it starts to pick up again during October, November. So as I've always mentioned, this goes back to Bitcoin dominance. So let me go ahead and show you that one more time, guys. If you guys missed it on my I've talked about Bitcoin dominance a while ago, but let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Just because I'm a visual person, this is typically what we see during this time in the market right here. As you see, typically around June and July is where we see some sort of activity on meme coins. As you see right here, back in 2021, at around June, July, and then August was like the end for meme tokens right there. This is where we saw a lot of activity on meme tokens within June and July. And then on 2022, about around May and June is where we saw the run up on meme tokens. And then last year on 2023, we saw meme tokens run up from April, June, and then July was like kind of almost the last month, but it was a little bit extended leading into around August. Actually, no, June I would say was like the top of meme coins last 2023. So just keep that in mind. Typically, April, May, June, and July are usually months for meme tokens to take off, and we still haven't been we haven't gotten there yet, guys. So we still have some room left. One thing that's really interesting though is like, what is Bitcoin going to do? Is Bitcoin going to decide to pump up even higher, or is it finally going to decide to correct back down to these ranges? Worst comes to worst, we don't see a massive meme coin season this year, and we see it until 2025. Which I don't know if that's going to still be bad, but we'll still make money. I'm not saying we won't make money, but worst case scenario is that, this pushes all the way up to, let's say meme coin season doesn't happen until, if it doesn't happen within this range of around June and July, it's going to happen within this range right here around September, October, November. And this is typically what we saw back in around 2021, where we saw a lot of the meme tokens and altcoins take off. So we still have plenty of room left in the market, especially time to go ahead and load up on your favorite meme coins before we have that. But I do see these meme tokens having a very nice explosion to the upside within 6 to 8 months, right? So this is the reason why I'm saying 3 to 6 months is where I'm hoping and holding most of these projects for on base, because that's where I will see, I believe that's where we'll be reaping most of its rewards, right? So we'll see where things go moving forward. But with that being said, I hope all of you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to go ahead and check out Blofin down below in the description. Non-KYC platform, giving all the way up to $5,000 in sign-up bonuses, and takes less than 3 seconds to create an account. And I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, Happy. Thank you, Steve. And thank you all